Hi, everybody. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and the boys are here. I'm sorry, the men, the guys, the fellas are here with me as well. Hello, Chris Paul. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Sybil?
I'm great. And yes, Mr. One Lowdown, Huggy. How are you?
What's up, Sybil?
How y'all doing? What's
What's
going
up?
on?
What's
What's the
going
Well,
on?
word?
we're just glad that it's Monday because if it was Thursday, we'd be at the Orlando Improv,
Oh, there
and
we
we
go.
I see
couldn't
what
do
you
the
did
show.
there,
We
brother.
couldn't do the show.
Look,
I see,
look at that. Look
I
at
see
that.
what you did there. Orlando Improv, one night only.
All right.
The the OrlandoImprov.com.
Well, we will make sure that folks hear that information. What's going on otherwise? How are things in on the east side of the country?
It's not bad.
No?
It's not bad. How's everything in Texas?
A little weird. A little weird. The weather is, we're getting threats of storms and then they don't come, but it's, 90 degrees one day and now they're talking about a cooling off for another day in it tomorrow, and it's just kind of the weather's kind of weird, but it's allergy season and everything is just a muck here in
It
Texas.
ain't Ted Cruz going to Cancun weather-wise weird.
You know what? If he could go and stay,
Yeah,
that would be
that would be a
pretty
great
awesome.
thing.
That
I
would be
know
How are
it's
pretty
you
been
though,
awesome.
Sybil?
I know it's been raining in Texas because Jerry Jones said, "Wear your rubbers."
And
Well,
you
that's
know
what
what?
somebody told Jerry Jones. But
And he didn't follow that instruction apparently.
he couldn't hear that, Sybil.
Some 30 years later, 30, 40, 50 years later, he's
Right.
just getting the message.
Yeah.
And we will talk about
Right,
the
right when Maury about to
Rona.
retire too, Sybil.
Right.
Who? Come on, Jerry. Mr. Jerry.
Mr. Cherry.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So you guys had a good weekend and looking forward to hitting the road. And so you'll be in the FLA. And so that is good to hear. All right. Let us take a look at our newsletter. The What You Need to Know newsletter is what it is called. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter. We ask people to subscribe to it. It's absolutely free and it does a great job, we think, of super serving the African American community, as we learned at the feet of Tom Joyner for so many years. Go to sybilwilkes.com to subscribe, and we would appreciate that. So, Koi Malone is not here today. She's taking the day off. I don't know if she is otherwise engaged in some other nefarious activities. And this is as nefarious as she gets being here with us on a weekly
What?
event.
Corey took
But
a day off. Good for Corey taking a day off.
yeah, yeah. But she did leave us with a story. And this is in regards to the state of Florida dropping charges of a black man who shot at police. This is another crazy story. Police were going to with a search warrant or an arrest warrant of the home of Corey Marino Jr. He shot once at SWAT team members who entered his Pensacola, Florida home, prompting a detective to return fire. Mr. Marino realized that it was police and he quickly surrendered and apologized, but he was arrested for the attempted murder of a Florida police.
Hold on. So this was another no-knock warrant?
This is another no knock warrant.
Oh,
And
wow.
he thought someone was breaking into his home. He shot, they shot back. And then when he realized it was the police, he hands up
Right.
and they arrested him for attempted murder. They have now gone to court. He was placed on administrative leave by his company, later fired, and they said that he or just were in the midst of this case, urging prosecutors to drop the charges against Mr. Marino, who is a young 30-something, a young man with just a toddler son, a 1-year old, and a licensed gun owner protecting his home and his property. They went in and said that there was no doubt that he knew that he was firing at a police officer. They said no, that's not true. He thought that they were breaking in, and so
Right.
they have dropped the charges, but the family is planning to sue the Pensacola Police Department and others in relation to this
And his
case.
employment and his place of employment.
He lost his job.
Right. Behind this.
Yes.
And America's never been cool with black people exercising their right to bear arms.
It's not applicable to us.
Right. Right. A licensed gun owner.
Right.
Sorry. All of these right to
Right.
bear arms groups,
Right.
they don't acknowledge that African Americans have as much right to have their arms as the next guy.
Right.
And look what the police always say. It's a split-second decision. It could cost them their lives if they hesitate. This brother's like, they're breaking in my house.
Right.
It'll cost me my life if I hesitate.
Right.
This
And
could
he
have
was
been
protecting his household.
it could have been another Breonna Taylor situation,
Right.
or just fill in a name here situation.
Right.
Right.
It's just bananas. It just breaks my heart. Let me tell you what makes me very happy. Did you see the story that we had in the newsletter about the unionization of an Amazon warehouse
Mhm.
on Staten Island in New York? And the union was promoted and was led by two brothers, two Black men, best friends, former employees of Amazon, and they led the way for this vote to be taken. And by a 55 to 45% vote, the employees at the Amazon warehouse approved a union to represent them.
I mean, those brothers actually made history. I mean,
They
Yeah.
it's
did it.
historic. I
And
mean,
poured out champagne too.
Right.
Yeah.
They
You
popping
took on-
champagne.
you took on Amazon.
Yeah,
Right,
man.
right.
Yeah. And not only did he take them on in this case, but he is the one, and his name is Smalls. And he is the one, Christian Smalls is his
Christian
name.
Smalls.
Yes. And he's the one that led the walkout at Amazon 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic because of what he called the unsafe work conditions.
Right.
They had a workout that was publicized around the country, and subsequently he was fired. They said not because he led the walkout, but because he was violating COVID violation of COVID rules.
They had to come up with something. They
And I
had
mean-
to say something.
And Huggy, I mean, they really, from the top down, it seems like there was a concentrated effort to make this man's life a living hell.
Wow.
And he persisted. He and his best friend persisted.
Wow.
And he would even go to other warehouse locations around the country saying, we need to unionize. Nobody was feeling it. But he persisted with his people. They would have weekly events, sometimes daily events. They would be giving out food. They would have music. There was even the offer of free weed. And to get people to talk about the need
Right.
for a union and
Good for
to
him.
improve the conditions.
So many
Yeah.
times you go against these big companies. You work for these big companies, and it's such a machine, and they try to wear you down with time and try to mute you, and they got these lawyers
Yeah.
and just
Right.
the continuation, and then it's tiresome. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They
Yeah.
put you through this grueling. Just good for him. Just
They-
good for him.
But the whole
really
thing
good for
the whole
him.
thing makes me sad also, though, because the life of Christian Smalls is a role that Will Smith could have won another Oscar for.
Right.
He could have.
Right. So
Not
this
no-
brother,
not
this
no
brother's
more.
like
Now?
this brother's like on some Ern Brockovich.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Right.
he
Yeah.
fought the big company. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
He almost stood up on the table,
Yeah,
and
right.
strike.
Yeah.
So the union sign is now a part of the warehouse on Staten Island in New York. And of course, Amazon, it says that they're going to
He's gonna
fight
be more
this.
famous than Wu-Tang Clan in Staten Island. Chris. Woo!
That was a
Method
perfect.
Man didn't do this.
That's
What?
a perfect Will Smith character, but now it's going to be
It's a
Terrence
perfectly
Howard.
good. Yeah, man.
Man.
Come on, Hug.
Hey, come on, man. Look, come on, man.
What does Terrence Howard say to Amazon, to Bezos?
What is he to Bezos?
Come on, man. Bezos, man. He's going all up in the rocket, man. you can afford to go all up in the rocket, man. Come on, man.
And Christian Smalls and his best
Christian
friend.
Smalls is going to be getting all the draws, Sybil. I'm going to put that out there. You think that brother ain't going to be
And he's going to sell those T-shirts on Amazon.
He's gonna get all the unionized draws.
Right.
I did that. Oh my gosh, she's gonna be at every happy hour. Sybil.
Yeah, man. Yeah, with free weed
Congratulations
apparently.
to those brothers.
Derek Palmer is the other young man's name.
Palmer
Palmer.
and Small.
Palmer and Small sounds like
a black law firm. Sybil.
Exactly. So they said for all the work that they did, Jeff Bezos did a lot of work on their behalf, and he didn't even realize it when he took his little ship, his little space rocket up into the skies for 10 minutes, which ain't bad for that.
That's like not respecting your opponent in this whole thing. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't even worried about those brothers. Two black men are gonna Yeah.
Well, it was what he said, Chris. He said, I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer because you guys paid for all of this, the gazillion-dollar space travel. And so that really got to people.
That's what he said?
Yes. When he came down, he was so amped and so pumped on that day. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, did he just, and yes, he did. And that's what the Amazon employees were saying too. And say, you can't spend all of this money and then tell us that we don't deserve to have, health insurance or better health coverage. We don't deserve to have better safety conditions within the plant. We deserve to have improved monetary situations, the worker safety, the job security, higher wage. Return to the company policy, which made every employee a shareholder that they took away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And the medical leave options.
So that's he had time to go up in outer space and get spit on by Michael Strahan.
Correct.
We fear.
Did Herschel Walker go up there too?
Oh,
No.
wouldn't that be sweet?
I thought I got confused. I watched Driving Miss Daisy the other day. I thought maybe Herschel drove the rocket.
No, he met him at Johnny Rocket.
You meant Mr. CTR?
CTR.
Mr. didn't even graduate.
Right.
From Georgia, yeah.
Mr. Put the baking soda on him.
Bruh.
Oh my God.
Sometimes we lie too much. Sometimes we lie too much. But he's been going around all these years saying he graduated in the top 1% of his class.
Right.
He didn't even graduate.
And said they would no longer call him the R word, bro. And I'm not talking about Republicans. Ridiculous, bro.
It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
CRT.
Yeah, the CRT.
He said CTR.
Yeah. And what is CTR, by the way?
And everybody, CTR? They was like,
what?
You tell us.
We know what CRT is.
What are they teaching it? Oh my God.
Well, come on.
Sad as that is.
He is DFA, huh?
What's that?
I don't know. He'll figure it out.
I'm like, as sad as it is, this guy could win.
And that's the sad.
I know. That's sad.
As dumb. And you remember a couple of months back, he was talking about some mist that can get rid of COVID.
Oh yeah.
They try to mute that. They try to get rid of that. They were like, go ahead, Sybil.
So if people are wondering, as Yolanda is, what we are talking about, we're talking about Herschel Walker, who is running for the Republican nomination for the United States Senate in the state of Georgia, and all of the things that he is saying, all of the misstatements that he's making, all of the lies that he has made up. And so we just kind of moved along in our train of conversation in what we're talking about and what you need to know.
Start reading books and looking in the mirror and saying, I am, oh my God. And then I was a valedictorian.
Spell it.
Oh my God.
CTR.
And just a couple of weeks ago, Herschel Walker was out on the campaign trail, and he's beating David Perdue, by the way, who is
also an idiot in his own right.
Yeah, he's an idiot also.
Yeah, his numbers are better than a lot of people. David Perdue is running for the governorship, but his numbers are better than people in other campaigns as well. David Perdue is a former senator of Georgia. He got beat last year, and so all of these things are just. I mean, the Trump magic is working for him right now, and they're hoping that this will change things during this upcoming election.
But it really is amazing that Republican voters in this country have accepted stupidity in their in their candidates and in their senators and in their congressmen. I mean, you would think they accept it.
As long as they on I can't even think of a word for them, bro.
But how about this? How about the fact that these people, this Republican Party, for the most part, is supporting Putin? Who
Right.
in the world would have thought that any Republicans,
Right.
and I've said this before, I know Ronald Reagan has to be spinning in his grave somewhere,
Right.
because the fact is that Donald Trump has had this, this huggable relationship with Putin. They're snuggle
Right.
buddies, and
Right.
so and they're following along the Trump line.
Wow.
Fox TV, Fox
Wow.
News. Who would have thunk it?
Right. They make their voters love Putin and hate Joe Biden.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. And if Barack was doing the same thing, he would be getting condemned for it.
Oh, for sure.
And this is the same party that was all about America first.
America first, God love America, and
Right.
and anybody that says anything against America, should be thrashed and
America first, save America.
Yeah,
America,
and make it great again.
Make America.
Yeah. Okay. So in our coronavirus update, I want to know what you guys think about this. Just when white people, according to a study, when white people found out that COVID wasn't affecting them the way that it affects Black and brown people, they didn't really care about it too much. They weren't too concerned about it.
That sounds like with anything else, Sybil.
I know.
Exactly.
When I first read that, I said, I can dig that. I can absolutely see that.
They say that the racial disparities and knowing that Black and brown people are affected as if several times more than it affects white people are like, okay, then whatever happens.
Right.
We're good.
Right.
I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to, I don't need to get the booster shot. All of these other things were a part of their decision and not caring about the effects of COVID on other people.
It sounds like our country, Sybil.
But also that also hurt me to see so many Black people not taking it serious.
Yeah.
Because the data was real. It was killing us at a higher rate
at
than
an alarming rate.
Right.
And remember in the beginning, it's like, oh, Black people aren't going to get this like other people are going to get it. And we're like, okay, well, and then son of a gun, it's hitting us, 3-4 times greater than it was for other people. And I'm talking about Black, brown, Native Americans, and all of that. So have you guys checked your Skippy peanut butter jars?
No, I don't. I'm not.
No, but
Skippy? You team Skippy? Well, what's going on? What they have in the peanut butter?
Last week, I couldn't get my Skippy through the airport security. the metal detector went off.
What?
My peanut butter sandwich.
What happened?
Chris, what happened with your peanut butter sandwich?
I couldn't get through airport security. The metal detectors went off.
Right. Oh,
They have metal shavings from their machines have been.
See, that's
what in the Skippy. It's like, this ain't chunky.
That's why the Skippy has been recalled, Hug. Several types of Skippy peanut butter have been recalled because metal shavings.
That's why I had about 5 sandwiches on my desk this morning.
So check out your Skippy peanut butter, including the reduced fat creamy peanut butter spread, the reduced fat chunky peanut butter spread, the creamy blended with plant protein spread. The recalled products have the best of use dates of May of 2023 on the lids of and so you can just return it to the point of purchase and exchange it for another container of Skippy.
What's that peanut butter that used to be for lazy people? The ones where they put the
the
peanut butter and jelly in the same jar.
Something with a G, like Goober.
Yeah.
Goober? Was it Goober?
Well, it might have been something like that. Yeah.
Something with a G.
Yeah.
I don't think they sell that anymore.
I just saw something on social media where somebody said people only put peanut butter on one side of the bread. I read somebody. You only put peanut butter on one side of the bread, Sybil?
I put peanut butter on one side and I put the grape jelly on the other, and
that is the recipe.
Okay, all right.
You mix them before it's time?
No,
because that's the big moment. Peanut butter, jelly. Am I wrong?
You're right.
He's ashamed of himself now. Look. Bro,
No,
you
I
can.
said
This is a safe space here. You can tell us how you make your sandwich.
no, that's kind of slow, bro.
Then how do you make your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, bro?
I have it pre-made. I eat the Crustables. I'm lazy. I
You're
eat
too old.
the
You're too old to eat a
Uncrustables.
damn Uncrustable.
Uncrustables.
You're too old for that, bro.
Bro, those things are like crack, bro. How many of them Uncrustables can you eat, bro?
Bro, none. I'm a grown up.
What the hell that mean, bro?
All right.
You
It's-
also be eating
I'm
those
a brother.
little, what are those little
So
lunch
you
kits called?
traveling with Lunchables still.
I'm about to say, you eat the Lunchables too, though.
And don't forget the juice boxes.
Right.
Okay. All right. It's time for us to move on. And our question of the day, what's really going on? Why is Huggy still making peanut butter and not making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and eating Crustables? That's our question of the. I'm kidding.
No,
honey, I'm
please
kidding.
don't put that out there. So.
What's really going on? And my question for you guys today is, how do you handle anger? What are your suggestions for people that are faced with those flashpoints of anger, and what works for you? And the reason why I ask this, because we have a story that has just come out that deadly road rage shootings have hit a record high last year in 2021. According to the data, these are, just, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are in any particular city these days.
Right.
There is the rash of road rage killings and woundings of people, even our children in the backseat of our cars, and someone, you may do something and cut someone off or whatever, and especially in Texas. I mean, the guns and everything that go along here, or in states now where you don't have to have a license to carry a gun. They're saying that the road rage shootings are absolutely off the charts. Hundreds of people were killed last year in 2021, according to statistics compiled by the advocacy group Every Town for Gun Safety. So that's one example of popping off, and road rage is one example of a quick flashpoint of anger. Do you guys experience that, or are you both so chill that you don't have those moments like, it's just like,
I get a little upset, Sybil, but not to the point where I'm, move or on somebody's bumper, because I already know what it is.
yeah.
I already know. And the scariest thing is being in an Uber and the Uber driver, so you don't even have control. Like
right.
I was in an Uber, and this Uber driver was driving so slow, and I'm like, oh my God. And people are pulling up to the driver, saying stuff to him. So, but you feel offended because you're
right
in the vehicle, like, you slow mother, and they drive past looking at you, and you like,
hey,
you pointing at me like, you got your mask on, like, I'm not with him.
Technically, you're supposed to roll down the window and defend your driver.
Is that the rules of the road?
Yes,
Really?
you have to defend your driver. Yes, you have to cuss
If
back.
he driving slow, Chris.
Yes, bro. Yeah, you gotta get together.
Bro, listen, this guy was driving slow, and every time we have a conversation, he would slow down to talk. This happened to me the other day, and somebody went around him. Guess what he do? He hit the lights with the high beam. I'm like, bro. I said, bro, don't do that. I said, don't do that. That's what I told him. So don't do that.
Stop it.
So the road rage you had was
that.
You had road rage towards your own driver.
Yeah, I had road rage, Uber rage in the back.
In the same car.
Yeah. Because you're not gonna get me shot, bro.
Right? Chris, have you ever had that?
No,
I've never had road rage. I mean, I have basic stuff. You call them a couple names, not to them, but in the car, you
right.
just say, this jackass, move your shit. More so when my kids were small in the car and they thought that was really funny.
But have you, so even as a young person, because usually it's the younger and the younger you are, the
in a hurry to go nowhere.
Yeah.
It's probably the quarantine, and there's a whole lot of stuff playing.
Yeah. But this also is related to the slap. The slap. The slap I'm talking about.
So that's what we are living in a day and age where Will Smith name is a threat.
Yeah. Don't make me go Will. Don't make me.
I was in Popeyes, and this little drunk dude. I was telling Chris, the little drunk dude was in Popeyes. He was standing on the side, and he told the little guy, and he's like, "Don't make me Will Smith you." I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking, like, where the hell did he watch the Oscars? That's what I want to know. I wasn't even thinking, like, I'm like, because he was, I don't know if he was homeless or what. I'm like, where the hell did he watch that? He was like, "Don't make me Will Smith your ass." And he was serious. I'm like, Will Smith's name is a threat.
It is now a threat.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That's
So,
crazy.
so everybody knows, that if with Will, perhaps if Denzel or
Perhaps
Tyler,
for slaps.
if perhaps
Oh.
Denzel or Tyler Perry were sitting a little closer to him, they might have been able to keep him in his seat instead of,
So now we got to have seatbelts at the Oscars now, Sybil?
well, that just seems to
They
be a
locking
form
them
of
in like the roller coasters and stuff now?
that quick anger. He was quick to anger and went off and thus we know how the world changed in a matter of seconds.
And
Seems
you
to
had-
me Jada could have stopped him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she didn't look like she was
No, she didn't want to stop him.
she wasn't interested in doing that, huh?
She didn't want to stop him.
Mm-mm. She
And so-
I text him. I text him like,
So the
and
question.
meanwhile, you had Tyler Perry and Medea consoling Will Smith. and poor Chris Rock. Oh, man.
But they may have been able to diffuse him and his anger. Shirley Ann Tony Davis on Facebook says, "I take my mental health medicine to handle anger. I keep my dairy at home. Derriere at home.
Derriere at home. Keep her ass at home.
This is so
right.
sad.
Right.
This is so sad. She says,
Take your mental health medicine.
Yeah, please, by
Absolutely.
all means.
Hennessy.
Dora Levette Tiggs on Facebook said, "I suffer through my anger until I get it out of my system." So how do you do that? Do you
How you get it out your system?
yeah, do you run? Do you
blow out? You blow it out.
Oh,
I was about to cuss your ass out.
Sonia Maples on YouTube says, "How to handle anger? Wine."
Boone's Farm. Prosecco,
Black-
Merlot.
Black Girl Magic. Roderick Cooks on YouTube says, "I do my best to walk away."
In
Then
the
Will
car?
Smith would have slapped you in the back of your head.
You are so wrong. Do any of you guys do the breathing exercises that they recommend?
No, because you look like a 7-year-old child.
Spaz.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's right.
Renee Woodridge on Facebook says, "I take deep breaths or either I start humming." Now I know mothers.
That's also good for your marriage.
Oh, humming. Oh, you crazy. Take deep breaths.
Wow.
I married a Hummer. Who knew?
Oh man.
Huggy, are you red?
I think this the month I upgrade your wedding ring.
And he forgot what he was mad about.
Oh golly.
So they start humming Negro spirituals, Chris.
In the upper room.
In the
Yeah.
upper room.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, just kids just getting really amped up and things like that. And it really surprised me, especially but looking back on it, it doesn't surprise me. But then, because you're thinking about, especially like guys who were athletes and on the football team and things like that, and they used to get so angry about any little thing, and they would come into like our snack bar area and they would just punch the walls, or they would punch the refrigerator, or it was just that was their way of they called it diffusing their anger. Yeah.
Wow.
But one physical act like that, it seemed to be more damaging in itself as you're trying to get rid of the anger.
Yeah.
But now that's like a sign of steroids. Like that's
Yeah.
the athletes who take steroids, they can't control themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
emotionally.
Roid
Roid
rage.
rage.
Roid
Yeah.
rage.
Yeah. Della Wilson on Facebook reminds us that Tom Joyner used to talk about having a pull-up pal. Yeah. And somebody say, come on, pull up, come on, okay, let's go. You don't need to be, involved in all of this. And that's true.
I thought roid rage is when you read out of preparation H.
Huh?
That was originally. That was the original.
roid rage.
In the
burns.
In the car.
My ass hurts.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna kill everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Rosemary Smith on YouTube says, talk to yourself out loud, fuss to get it out. So if you're talking to yourself out loud, Rosemary, and people think that you are a little off, does that help you? And when people say, well, I don't want to mess with her. Brenda McCutcheon on Facebook says, I get quiet as long as I'm still talking, we good. Ooh, so if in order to kind of calm down, you just go to a quiet place, maybe. Which I hated that movie. I thought that was so dumb.
She's quiet, but she's still talking.
I made a lot of money too.
Yeah. I'm not sure, Chris. If you're still talking, you're good.
Hey, proofread your comments before you press send.
Calm down, Chris. Calm down.
He's raging about the rage comment.
Oh, that's funny. The Advocate on YouTube says, I start singing, Jesus, keep me near the cross.
Okay.
So perhaps there's a song in there somewhere that people start humming or, because have you seen those people just start humming and
start holding themselves?
Yep. Just, you do that very well, huh?
Just start rocking.
Oh, Shirley Ann Tony Davis says, I listened to Tamala Man. Shirley's on Facebook. Take me to the King. I have nothing to bring but a broken heart that I give to God. Amen. All right. Good Tamala Man reference. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love Take Me to the King. That's one of her classics. Absolutely.
What if somebody say they Will Smith themselves?
And then they say, hey, don't make me Will Smith myself.
Keep my anger out my mouth.
I think that talking or singing, Manuel Murphy on Facebook, how to handle anger. I go to the bathroom. Is that your quiet place?
No.
There for you?
He goes right to the bathroom and beats himself.
Oh. That's called the tubing. That's called the Jeff Tubin. I go to the bathroom. That sounds like an incontinent.
Well, at least you're taking care of business in the bathroom.
I go to the bathroom and sit on the urinal. Ooh, go to the urinal and just turn around. Oh,
man.
Oh my God. Chris,
like, why is he facing us at the urinal?
You're gonna piss me off.
And speaking of life not being fair, Jeff Tubin still has a job.
Yeah,
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? If you're angry about something, that's
beat
something.
The shot, Sybil. He beat that shot. Yeah.
You slap yourself, you get away with it.
Yeah.
Slap somebody else, blackballed.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're shutting down Will Smith's
He was
project.
pulling for himself.
Yeah.
Right. They're shutting down Bad Boy 4. He already had the script.
Oh.
And now they're not going to proceed with it, right? They're putting everything on hold, all his projects, bruh.
And there was one. There was
something
one
on Netflix. He had something on Netflix.
Right, called Fast and Loose.
Yeah. The irony right there, Fast and Loose.
Yeah.
He ran up on the stage fast and loosed his job. Loose your job.
Up in here. Wow. Yeah. So I thank you for all the suggestions. I think that we should pass that on And as I said in one of his old movies, he told his son, take a knee, take a moment, and before you impulsively act. And I wish that people, I know you can't do it when you're behind the wheel of a car and someone ticks you off, but certainly there are events in which people can tick you off and just take a second and breathe. Take Me to the King, whatever your song of choice is, an old Negro spiritual or whatever. But we do ask that we do take some time and just think about these things
Chris,
before
what
we
you used
act
to do?
impulsively.
I know back in the day when they had CDs was out, you would throw CDs of people you didn't like at people when they cut you off in traffic.
Yeah, but I ran out of Brian McKnight CDs to throw. But really, in all seriousness, I mean, what we're talking about is important because think of how many people today are behind bars, serving
or no longer here.
life sentences, right?
Right.
Or are dead because of one moment.
Yep.
One moment where you just snapped.
That's right.
And if you have a firearm in your presence, man, and you're going, yeah.
It's now time for us to take a breath and
Go to the bathroom.
and move to the next topic, and let's talk about what's topical, what's going on. This is April 4th, 2022. 54 years ago today, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. Dr. King was 39 years old.
You're not trying to slip that critical race theory in here on us.
No, sir. No, sir.
CTR, are you?
You're not trying to make white people feel guilty about something, are you?
No, just want people to just get some perspective about our lives and where we are, and also to think about the dream and where we are in terms of that. And I say that because during the confirmation hearings, do you remember when Lion Ted Cruz decided that he was going to talk about Dr. King and how he and Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson were reading parts of Dr. King's speeches and talking about the content of our character and not the color of our skin. And what really ticks me off is that instead of voting in terms of the content of this woman's character, they really were looking at the color of her skin, as they have decided not to vote for her.
Like always.
Like always, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But I will tell you something that has changed, and this is good news. This is the latest news that has just come out in terms of timeliness, and there are now 3 Republicans who are going to vote in favor of the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. We knew that Susan Collins had announced her support, and now Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Mitt Romney of Utah have announced they are going to support Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for the United States Supreme Court.
Well, Mitt talked it over.
I don't know about Mitt.
Mitt talked it over with his 11 wives and decided. It's a Utah joke.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. A little Mormon.
Mormonish.
So that is good news. And so they will have, as opposed to the years past, where they have had a preponderance of people on the other side voting for their judges. Have a number. They had a large number of people on the other side of the aisle voting for the Supreme Court justice. This time they will slip by with some Republican support, but not as much as they have had in the past. So that is good news. But what is not good news, you guys, is this shooting, a number of mass shootings over the weekend. And the latest is an arrest has been made in the Sacramento shooting, and all 6 victims have been identified. 1 person has been arrested, and they are looking for another. But all 6 people killed were identified Monday, and police arrested one of the suspects on firearm charges. Dondre Martin was arrested and booked for assault and illegal firearm possession, according to Sacramento police. Now, the victims have been identified by the coroner as Shantea Alexander, 21, 57-year-old Melinda Davis, 38-year-old Sergio Harris, 32-year-old Joshua Hoy Lucchese, 21-year-old Yamil Martinez Andrade, and Devasia Turner, who is 29.
Mass tragedy.
Yes.
Lives gone, lives destroyed, families in mourning forever.
Yep. All 6 were gunned down early Sunday when multiple suspects, as described by observers, opened fire in the city's downtown area. It happened about 2:00 Sunday morning as the locals were leaving the clubs and the bars in downtown Sacramento. It's just tragic. And from the
It started with a fight, they said, and then it spilled out. So that's also the same vein as what we're just talking about with the road rage.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just momentary lapse of judgment.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
has
right.
destroyed all these lives.
Right.
And from the looks of the photographs, all Black and brown lives.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So our prayers and good wishes go out to those families as they deal with something no one should have to. And unfortunately, 6 people there. A number of other shootings in other parts of the country as well. Just a very sad reporting of events over what just started out as a normal, just happy-go-lucky fun time and weekend in their respective cities. The U.S. is said to be supporting investigation into the possibilities of war crimes committed by the Russians. Images showing civilian bodies left in the streets of the town Bucha near the capital have sparked international outrage. Joe Biden has called for a war crimes trial against Vladimir Putin in response, and Vladimir Zelensky had visited the site where he said thousands were killed and tortured, and he has accused Russia of genocide.
Just horrible scenes on our television right now of the bodies of civilians just in the street, and then residents all talking about what they saw. Like the soldiers are just walking up to everybody and shooting them in the head, them in the head. Yeah.
Wow.
And then Putin says it's all staged. Like,
the Americans staged this.
Yeah, they're just getting civilians and actors to lay down in the street.
Yeah.
With their heads blown off.
Zelensky was on the Grammys. He made an appeal to artists at the Grammys Sunday night, and was asking them to just don't forget us. Please do whatever you can.
Use your voice.
Yeah, use the voice. And there was a young woman who sang with John Legend from Ukraine,
the poet.
And just trying to get this across that they need our help. And in whatever way you can, and a lot of artists have done projects. And did you see the I think it was the Broadway stars were singing. Monday is a dark day for them. They don't perform on Mondays, and so they were out in Times Square. They were singing this song that has been written that they are singing to raise money for the people of Ukraine. And it was really pretty powerful. Zelensky's speech Sunday night at the Grammys. And it was and necessary. But as you say, Chris, saying this is staged, and you see people with their hands tied behind their backs, and the things that they've done to men, women, and children.
And the thing is, they're saying that it's staged, and that's the message in Russia, where Putin controls the media now. Like, everybody's been sent home. Everybody left the country who was a fair and honest journalist,
right?
To protect their own lives. So now the only message they're getting in Russia are the lies being told. If you see that, that's the blueprint of what Donald Trump wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what he wanted. That was the whole fake news cry he kept saying. Right. He wants to control the media so they say only what he says.
Right.
And that's Russian TV right now, all that information. Unless you have a very brave producer, who comes on and with the sign and says that what Putin is telling you is lies.
They risk their lives to get the real stories and news out and the message out.
Exactly. On a happier note, let us congratulate Dawn Staley, leading South Carolina women's basketball team over UConn for a second NCAA title. They buttoned up on the defense and won their second national championship. She did, and a really nice victory over UConn, 64-49, ending the Huskies' undefeated streak in title games. How about that?
I mean, it made it much sweeter beating UConn. I mean, the historic, the greatest program in the history of women's college basketball. You took them down.
Took them down.
That was great. It's like beating Duke.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so that begs the question, who do you guys have in Monday night's game? Are you going with Hubert in North Carolina or that big kid from Kansas, as J. Anthony Brown used to call him?
I like North
I like Hubert.
Carolina. I like Hubert.
I like the fact that Hubert, he went to North Carolina, he played. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, but those boys from Kansas, especially that big one. I mean,
Yeah, I'm with
it's
you.
hard to bet against them.
My heart is with Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels, Hug. Yeah, I would love to see that story of like you said, his being in the program, coming back, and now in his first year,
Duke.
Yeah, and beating Duke.
As long as he beat Duke, bro, bro.
I'd love to see them win tonight. I'm just afraid those country boys in Kansas. Too much.
Yeah,
Them big
Too much.
boys.
They said Drake lost about 100,000 betting with Duke.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I filled out my bracket on ESPN when the tournament started. According to my bracket, tonight I've got Baylor playing Tennessee.
What?
Yeah, that's who I had in the championship. Game Baylor versus Tennessee.
Oh my goodness! I wonder what the numbers are looking like as far as the betting for tonight's game. But I'm betting on black.
This is the first tournament. No, it's like the second year. R. Kelly wouldn't. Remember you talk about R. Kelly's brackets, Chris?
R. Kelly was great at the brackets. Nobody knows the Sweet 16 like him.
All right, you guys. While we're talking about R. Kelly and that, we will just a reminder, we will be talking about entertainment in a little bit. I do want to give you guys an opportunity to remind us one more time. Where will you be on Thursday?
The Orlando Improv on our pop-up comedy tour, hitting all our favorite clubs, one night in and out. That's this Thursday. Orlando, get your tickets.
One night in and out. We call it the Nick Cannon stand-up special. One night in and out. We out.
How was it Raleigh last week?
Richmond.
Sorry.
Richmond was good.
It was great. Yeah.
Okay.
Richmond was good.
Let me ask your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick having another tryout over the weekend, thanks to his former coach. And also it was filmed, but this was at Jim Harbaugh's invitation at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor in front of his old coach. The 34-year-old Kaepernick was joined, had a lot of people there looking as he was throwing some passes and going through the drills, as well as Spike Lee there to film a documentary for ESPN regarding his attempts to return to the NFL. What do you think?
I found it interesting that it didn't cause the same kind of uproar and backlash as it did before on social media. Like it really didn't pick up that much traction online, which told me it's a good time to bring him back.
Yeah.
There's much bigger things going on in the world.
I just hope they're not going through the motions. You know what I mean?
I mean, not to mention, they just brought Deshaun Watson into Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah.
And that means really you can bring it. All these people can do what they want to do regardless of the circumstances. Right. And you keep Colin Kaepernick out for what? Right.
So let me take a side trip here, because the wife of the Baseball Hall of Famer Jim Thome canceled her Browns season tickets over the trade that took place between Houston and Cleveland, bringing Deshaun Watson to Cleveland. She is a longtime Cleveland Browns fan, Andrea Thome, wife of the Baseball Hall of Famer, and announced on her Twitter page she canceled the family's Browns season tickets after the press conference the franchise had to announce Deshaun Watson was coming to Cleveland.
Had the Browns had a black quarterback before?
No.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Because I just want to make sure that the reason she's giving up her tickets in protest is because she's disgusted by Deshaun Watson and not because she prefers
It's
someone
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
who was
Well-
Baker Mayfield colored.
She said she believes the women, especially when there were 22 of them. The press conference did nothing to change her mind, and that's when she went on and canceled, referencing the women who were the massage therapists that have alleged that Deshaun Watson used his position to take advantage of them.
Well, she should know somebody bought her season tickets,
Yeah,
and that seat won't be empty.
yeah. Because Cleveland Brown fans, they,
Yeah.
you
They
know,
are died civil.
the
I went
dog
to go
pound is
see the
real.
Washington. They was the other team then. We went to a
Yeah.
sports bar in Cleveland. We was at what's the Improv? They had the Improv.
Mm-hmm.
We was at the Improv. We went to a sports bar to see the old Washington football name play. They would not show their game on 40 screens
That's
at
funny.
the sports bar.
Wow.
Every game was Cleveland.
Right.
Wow.
The Cleveland game on every single screen.
Every
40
single TV,
screens.
they lost, Sybil. On 40 screens, they lost.
Well, that leads us, let us move now into our entertainment segment. That leads us right into entertainment. And Regina King is back. She's back at work after the a tragic loss of her son and believed to be by suicide. They have her back in her hometown and filming, which is Cincinnati, filming the Shirley Chisholm story.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. She is, the movie centers around her 1972 presidential campaign, where she made history as the first Black woman to run for president. It takes a look at the significance of her campaign and her role as a pioneering political leader. And of course, as I said, she has been off for several months following her 26-year-old son, Ian's believed suicide. Yeah. Speaking of turning bad things into good, Lee Daniels has apologized to Monique after the long, precious feud. What do you think about burying the hatchet?
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Not only burying the hatchet, but they're going to get back to work together.
They're going to work. Yeah, absolutely. This is following their 2009 film Precious. Can you believe it's been that long?
No.
Wow.
Daniels was with her at her show with the Monique and Friends and the Queen of Comedy at an event in Staten Island Friday night. She said, he said, "I'm so sorry for hurting you the way that I did." And he says that, we were best friends and we're back, and she's coming to work for him. She is going to replace Octavia Spencer, who had to drop out of the film due to a scheduling conflict, the movie is called Demon House, an exorcism film directed by Lee Daniels for Netflix. And so she is going to play the role that Octavia Spencer was scheduled to take.
Wow.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That is good for her.
Good for her. That's great.
And the name of the movie is called what?
Demon House.
Okay.
It's an exorcism flick. That's not really my thing, but I would love to support her in whatever way I can. Right. But they are back together, back in stride again, as the song goes.
Right.
And what do you think about Eddie Murphy playing the Godfather of Funk?
I think it's a great thing.
I was so surprised when I read that, but surprised in a good way. I'm so happy they're going to make a movie about George Clinton.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to be producing this as well. They are tying down the rights with the Godfather of Funk, as well as they're getting the writers together, and then they will shop the project. But he is in line to play George Clinton.
Awesome.
I think
that is awesome. And I think Eddie Murphy is going to kill that role.
He does so well. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got artists like George Clinton. I mean, they're Parliament Funkadelic should be treated like white folks treat the Rolling Stones,
right?
They treat the remaining Beatles,
the Grateful Dead, and all of that.
Right?
Yeah. I absolutely agree. They don't get the love, but how many of our Black artists do?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing without artists.
It's just I was thinking about that last night during the Grammys and how all of this stuff works. But
I mean, at the end of his career and in his life, James Brown came to DC and played a small venue, the 930 Club. When I saw that, I said, "Are you kidding me?
right,
You should be
This is
playing the
insane.
stadium
right.
for what he
Abs-
did for all music." I mean,
All music.
it's
And
just
all
sad.
those hits, bro.
And
It's sad.
and people like the Beatles and all those and who revered James Brown for his music and even before James Brown and the blues artists and what have you, but we
I saw
don't
an
have the same
interview
sort
with
of
Hell,
reverence.
they probably had cover bands with performing at bigger venues than the actual
Right,
artists.
I
right.
saw Frankie Beverly. He was doing an interview, and he said, "Well, when we go to England, we play Wembley Stadium."
Mm-hmm. Right.
He said he's just
Yeah.
not because they love the music and they are always loyal. But he said, just black folks here in America, they love you, but they move on to what's next, the next trend or anything. They don't
Yeah.
get treated the same way.
And that's a damn shame. You
Yeah.
ought to be. Which brings me to it's Yogi's Jewel time, guys.
Breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. It's Yogi's Jewels.
Yogi's Jewels.
My butt hurts.
Bro, you can't just be yelling that out. Bro. That's not.
Roid rage.
Today's daily inspiration.
You had to put Roy Rage at the end.
When commenting about other people's lives, end that with "There, but for the grace of God, go I." There, but for the grace of God, go I. Instead of talking about folks, just remember how lucky you are.
That's not how we usually end it.
Repeat that, sir.
We usually end it saying, "Man, Huggy Lowdown, man, ain't nothing but a freeloader. He's always making me pay for his stuff, man. But that's my boy."
And,
that's how we normally. But that's my boy.
That's the equivalent of "There, but for the grace of God, go I," Chris.
That Negro is always late. I've been waiting out here 30 minutes. But that's my N-word.
And there, but for the grace of God.
And there, but for the grace of our show at
the Orlando Improv.
Bye, everybody.